Sorry for the delay. I'll call the July 20th meeting of the Falmouth Zoning Board of Appeals to order. My name is Ken Foreman. I'm the current chair. And let me begin by asking you all, if you have cell phones, please, to silence them. I'll also start by introducing the board. So from your left, Jerry Patamas, who's an alternate member of the board, T.J. Hurry, who's vice chair of the board, Paul Murphy, who's a voting member of the board, Ed Van Kuren, voting member of the board, and Robert Dugan, who's an alternate member of the board. So the zoning board, as I'm sure many of you know, hears appeals, special permits, and variance requests. The hearing process works like this. All comments and testimony goes through the board. Usually the applicant or their representative, we give 15 minutes to make a presentation, explain the project. Then there will be board questions and discussion. Then we will open it to the public. We try to limit public comment to 2 minutes, and obviously all public comments should be constructive, no derogatory remarks. Please, again, through the board, we want to know your views on the project. We will then make a decision whether we've heard enough information and close the hearing, and then vote. If we feel we don't have enough information, we'll continue the hearing to a date certain in the future. So that's the basic process, and tonight we have a full agenda. 6 special permit requests. The first being Falmouth Woods Road 037-17, and we start by asking TJ if there's any, or actually the clerk now, who's Paul, just reorganized, if there's any referrals or letters, etc., that we should know about.
We do. Do you want me to read the?
Yes, you have to read the notice of public hearing into the record.
And I do have letters in favor, actually, and some correspondence from town officials.
So just a quick summary of those. Yep.
Sure.
But start with the announcement.
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals.
Oh, and one other comment, because we have one voting member is absent, so in each of these hearings, we'll need to appoint an alternate to be the voting member. So for the first, we'll start with Robert Dugan, and for the next, we'll go to Jerry and so forth. Okay, sorry.
No, all good. A list of, being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that FWG LLC of Norwood, Massachusetts, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a modification of existing special permit pursuant to Article 27, Section 240-38A and 240-107 of the Code of Falmouth to construct 10 structures, each with 8 units of commercial accommodations and a parking reduction on subject property known as 125 Falmouth Woods Road, East Falmouth, Massachusetts. And for referrals, the first one is engineering, and basically the planning board. We have the engineering department reviewed the planning board, the site plan that was provided to the planning board, and is happy with it and had no objections to it. The second, we have the fire department. I'll just read this. It's about a paragraph and a half. Dear Board, this correspondence concerns application 3717, the modification of the existing special permit to construct 10 structures, each with 8 units of commercial accommodations at 125 Falmouth Woods Road in East Falmouth. Per the Massachusetts Building Code 780 CMR and Massachusetts Fire Prevention Laws, MGL Chapter 148, the buildings will be required to have automatic fire sprinkler systems and automatic fire detection systems installed, both of which are required to be monitored by either the municipal fire alarm system or a central station monitoring company. We also recommend a Knox box key entry system to be installed for emergency after-hours access to the buildings. Location of new fire hydrant and access turning radii have been approved during site plan review. Sincerely, Lieutenant Mel Trott. Assessors, no comment. Planning, they approved the site plan. And we have 16 letters of support for the project.
Okay, great. And is there a representative here for the project?
Just as a note of disclosure, I have swung my clubs at the country club and have taken lessons there. And despite that, I can still be fair.
Hi, my name is Kelly Durfee-Cardoza. I'm with Avalon Consulting Group, and I represent FWG, the applicant. I have with me this evening Ken Dale, who represents FWG, as well as the project team, Liza Cox from Nutter McLennan and Fish, Raul Lazardi Rivera, and Mike McGrath from Holmes & McGrath, and Ken Cram with Bayside Engineering, who did the traffic engineering. So I'm hoping that between all of us, we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. We're here today for a modification of the special permit that exists for the Cape Club. It's a little bit dark. Thank you.
Is that good?
Perfect. So the Cape Club is located off of Route 151. This is Falmouth Woods Road, and it is on the west side of Falmouth Woods Road. It's about a 130-acre site. It operates under a 1989 special permit modification decision in Appeal 45-89, and in 2015, this board granted administrative approval to allow the removal of the tennis courts. So the tennis courts you can see in this aerial were in existence right behind at the back of the clubhouse. And so that administrative approval allowed the tennis courts to be eliminated, and then the driving range, which was located here, to be relocated. And you can see the outline of the driving range in blue. Perhaps Jerry has been to the driving range since he's experienced with lessons there.
No driving range there.
Nope. So the applicant seeks to modify the existing permit to construct 80 units of commercial accommodations and to construct associated parking. So the 80 units of commercial accommodations are in 10 units located here. There will also be an addition of a gym and fitness center. It's a use that already exists under the existing special permit, but it will be moved out of the clubhouse and into this structure. The pool that's here will be essentially reconstructed almost exactly in place. Also, this driving range that you allowed us to move from here to here a couple of years ago will be redeveloped as 28 units of residential housing, and that project was reviewed by the planning board for a definitive plan and a special permit. So the site currently includes the clubhouse, which is here, this driving range, a maintenance facility at the back, a tennis pavilion, which is a very large metal structure at that location, the pool amenities, a small pool house and exterior restrooms and such, as well as parking. So with the addition of the 28 units of residential housing and the 80 units of commercial accommodations, it really will be a mixed-use development, I think, that supports both the uses on the site, but also the greater Ballymede community. In addition to review by this board, the project has been reviewed under MEPA. The Secretary issued a certificate on the ENF in May of 2016. Portions of the site are mapped as priority habitat, so Natural Heritage issued a no-take determination. And just for your information, they reviewed the entire project, the wastewater treatment plant that's proposed, the 80 units of commercial accommodations, as well as the 28 units of residential housing, and they issued a no-take letter. Mass Historic has reviewed the project. The Planning Board, in May of this year, issued site plan approval for the commercial accommodations and a special permit and definitive plan approval for the subdivision. We are in the process of obtaining a groundwater discharge permit from DEP, and I didn't include it on the list, but we also went through the Cape Cod Commission, and the project was reviewed as a development of regional impact. So the proposals that you have in front of you now are all consistent with those review and approval processes. This is just a blow-up of what we looked at before, and I think what's important is to see that The majority of the development, almost all of the residential subdivision, and certainly all of the commercial accommodations are on portions of the site that are already developed. The only portion of the site that we will be impacting that is not currently developed is in this area where there'll be some drainage, there'll be a wastewater treatment plant at this location, and there'll be some subsurface disposal for the wastewater effluent. As part of the process, the 130-acre site will be subdivided into 3 lots. So this green lot right here is Lot A. It's about 20 acres, and that's the lot that the commercial accommodations and the clubhouse will be on. This kind of yellow one in the middle is where the residential subdivision is located, and the kind of tan one on the right-hand side here is actually the remainder of the site, which is the golf course, and that's almost 29 acres. This is what the residential subdivision looks like. There are 2 curb cuts that will be added as you come down Falmouth Woods Road. This is the first golf hole, and I mentioned the large tennis structure. That's a corner of it here. As part of this process, the tennis structure will be raised and eliminated. This is the area where the golf cottages will be constructed. So the 10 units are outlined in blue here. And this is that gym and fitness center and the pool that I had spoken about. What's important on this slide is that this yellow marks out where we have additional impervious area or paved surface. So there's very little additional paved area that's being added. Some parking will be added here. There's a sidewalk here and in this area, and then there is some expanded parking at the back here. But the idea has been to try and infill this development at the existing site. The treatment plant structure is located here. It's a very small building, about 400 square feet, and there's an additional area of vegetation that has been provided in the landscape plan and that was reviewed pretty carefully at the planning board level to make sure that there's not a change in character or view from Falmouth Woods Road, and also from the views from Fairway Point. This is what one of the golf cottages looks like. This is the front elevation. The common room for the first floor and the common room for the second floor are these doors right here. The exterior of the cottage will be similar to the existing structures, which are the country club and the proposed gym and fitness center. There'll be shingle buildings with tan shingles or khaki-colored shingles and a dark roof and white trim. There are 4 units of commercial accommodations on each level in the structure. They're almost identical. There's a bedroom, 4 bedrooms in each corner. There's a common room in the center, and each one is about 2,000 square feet. The plans show decks and porches in the front, patios on the sides, and then for some of the structures that are, as you drive into the Cape Club now on the right-hand side, there's a walkout basement at that location, so they have a deck, and for the other ones that are closer to the parking lot, they have just a patio. I should also mention that 3 of the structures will have storage underneath them for golf carts. This is an elevation of the gym or fitness center. It will be located approximately in front of the existing pool. This is the structure here, and this small wing area is actually an outdoor bar and restrooms and such to service the pool area. The second floor of that gym and fitness area will be a bridal retreat that will support the clubhouse use for weddings and functions. The first floor will be an exercise room, and this is a use that's currently in the clubhouse that will be relocated. And the basement level will be an indoor pool, which is something that the country club does not have at this point in time. These wings, again, support mechanical use and restrooms and storage. This is the wastewater treatment plant building. It, again, is a shingle building. It's about 17 feet tall. It's similar in architecture to the other structures. It'll be tan shingles on the sides, dark shingles on the roof, and white trim. The site is located within the Wild Harbor Coastal Pond Overlay District, and as a result, we are proposing a tertiary level wastewater treatment plant. It's a RUC system with a GPC filter, and the treatment plant will collect flow from the existing uses. There's about 13,600 gallons per day now, and that's from the clubhouse, restaurant use, the maintenance facility, pool area. And it will also treat flows from the 28 units of residential housing and the 80 units of commercial accommodations. So the effluent from the treatment plant will be treated to 8 milligrams per liter, and our calculations indicate that we will reduce the site-wide nitrogen loading within this impaired watershed from the site from a predicted 5.5 milligrams per liter to 4.15 milligrams per liter total nitrogen. So we're improving the level of treatment of the existing wastewater even with increasing the development at the site. We looked at parking relative to the existing permit, the existing uses, and then the future uses, to look at parking for the entire site as a whole. The existing special permit requires 278 spaces. We've eliminated 13 tennis courts, so that's 3 spaces per tennis court for 39, bringing the subtotal to 239. There's a reduction of right allowed at 240-107 for sites that have more than 50 parking spaces. And so we're reducing not the 25%, but about 15%, and we're asking for a reduction of 49 spaces. Between the time that the existing special permit was authorized and now, there was a public trail agreement that provided parking for 3 spaces that was agreed to by the former owner. So we've added those 3 spaces. And then if we add the 88 spaces for the commercial accommodations, we have a total parking requirement for the site of 281 spaces. And the plans that you have before you and that were reviewed by the planning board and engineering and others show 281 paved spaces, and it also shows 49 spaces here on the plans as landscape spaces. We believe that the project will be phased and will take about 5 to 7 years to construct. We anticipate that the first phase will be conducted within the first 3 years. It will include 1 to 2 units of the commercial accommodations, a planned residential development, and a wastewater treatment plant. Phase 2 will be years 4 and 5, and it will include the remaining commercial accommodations. And then phase 3 will be in about year 6, and it will include the gym, fitness center, and pool. We reviewed with in an earlier meeting today with the building commissioner and with Lieutenant Trott from the fire department, the work that's proposed within some portion of this phase 1 effort today, just to make sure that we were all on the same page. The area for the 80 units of commercial accommodations that's required under the code is 17.4 acres. Lot A includes 19.87 acres. And as part of the overall project, there was a traffic access and impact study prepared by Bayside Engineering. Traffic counts were conducted in May of 2015, and that study looked at both the new residential use as well as the new commercial use. They determined that there are adequate site distances for the proposed curb cuts that will be added for the residential use. There is no new curb cut for the commercial use. We're going to simply use the same entrance that currently exists. They proposed a comprehensive transportation demand management program. The shuttles and the TDM program will serve both the new improvements, the commercial accommodations, and also the existing clubhouse. Under the zoning code, we have a requirement for 20% offset, and the TDM plan will be offsetting between 16 and 32 trips and will meet that requirement. Also, as part of the traffic access and impact study, there are safety improvements now proposed at 3 intersections. They are Route 151 and Route 28 south and north. And the improvements at those locations are channelized devices, so they're kind of tubes that will be there to make sure people turn appropriately when they're coming off of Route 151, off of Route 28 onto Route 151. And then at Route 151 and Sandwich Road, there is a recommendation for an addition to the existing street light for better visibility and some retiming of the light at that location. Finally, there's congestion management funding for the project of $177,500 that will be held for the use by the town by the Cape Cod Commission. We included in your application water supply studies that address the potential for use of drinking water as well as water needed for fire suppression. Both of those will be supplied by the municipal system. We prepared a hydraulic model of the municipal system, and by adding those 28 units of commercial accommodations as well as the 28 units of residential housing as well as the commercial accommodations, there'll be no noticeable change in available pressure or flow to the existing water distribution system. Fire suppression studies indicate that there's adequate volume and pressure available, and when we met with Lieutenant Trott today, we discussed the fact that there will be sprinklers in each of the commercial accommodations as required. And just as an aside, irrigation water from the existing for the existing uses and for these new future uses will continue to be provided from the existing irrigation supply, and management of the turf and lawn areas will be by the golf course staff. A stormwater plan was prepared and submitted as part of your application and also was reviewed under site plan review by the planning board. Post-redevelopment runoff will be split into 2 drainage areas, which is very similar to the existing conditions. The main drive will continue to be serviced by catch basins and leaching pits, and the parking lot discharge will be to a low area at the end of the parking lot, and the improvements at this location will manage the 25-year, 24-hour design storm. The system will maintain post-development impacts at or below pre-development levels. So there's actually a pretty good improvement to the main parking lot discharge with these changes. And finally, the impact on affordable housing. The project will contribute $90,511 associated with the commercial accommodations, and that's designated for the creation of affordable units. The project also will contribute $450,000 as part of the requirements through the Cape Cod Commission associated with the residential development. And my final point, I think, is I'd like to say that working on this project has been, I don't know if easy is the right word, but it's been really great to have the support of the members of the Balamede community. They have come to all of these meetings regularly. They came to the Cape Cod Commission meetings. We meet with them on a regular basis. They tell us what they like and what they don't like, and I think it's a better project for it. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I think you're right at 15 minutes, maybe a little over. Jared, do you want to get the lights back?
Has the...
You want to get the lights back first?
You don't want me to speak?
I do want you to speak. In exchange for turning on the lights. You may speak.
Has the groundwater permit been issued?
It is not, but we're in the process and we're working with DEP on that now.
Okay, and at one time I thought, well, they're issuing the permit, so it doesn't matter what type of system it is.
It's a RUC system with a GPC filter, and yes, it will be issued by DEP,
Okay.
but Mike McGrath is here if you have questions.
No, it's curiosity that doesn't have to... You had mentioned you can have tubing to control lane. Is that just a mock lane? Not associated with tubing to control traffic.
I'm going to ask Ken Cram from Bayside to answer that.
It's, I'm trying to think, was recently going to be done out in Dennis as well. They're, you've probably seen them, they're the tubings that stand up. They're called duckies sometimes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah. I
And
get
so
it.
when you come off the ramp, so that, there's that acceleration lane there, a lot of people don't know about it, so that, it's going to keep the people in that lane, and so they get up to speed and then merge with the 151 traffic.
So if you hit it, it's flexible.
Right, it bends over.
And your current irrigation system is groundwater, I imagine?
Yes, it is.
And was there any thought or not practical to use some of the wastewater treatment effluent as irrigation lot of lawns and things like that?
We didn't. I don't think we considered that at this point. There is generally adequate water available at the site for the irrigation use.
In that last slide, the impact on affordable house, does that mean the market rate of the houses will be reduced by 90,000, or at least one of them?
No,
I'm not sure what that slide means.
it means that there's $90,511 that is being held for the town at the Cape Cod Commission, and an entity in town can say that they want to work on creating affordable units, and they can go and access that money.
I get you, thank you.
So it's a direct contribution.
It is, and that's in addition to the $450,000 that's associated with the residential housing as well.
TJ, any questions?
Yes, just trying to focus on the parking reduction that you're requesting right now. So I think you said existing was 278, and then you're asking for 281, I believe it is?
So existing is 278. We're eliminating 39, so we get to 239. We're asking for a reduction of 49 spaces, which is about 15%. We add 3 for the public trail, 88 for the commercial accommodations, and we end up with 281 paved spaces, and then 49 spaces that are shown on the plan as landscape spaces.
And I'm just thinking about, a large function going on the property. I have some familiarity golfing there. Let's just say a charity golf tournament. We have, 18 holes, 2 foursomes each, and all the staff and everything else. So you feel that's an adequate number to? That's
I'd
an-
ask that the phones be silenced, please.
So you feel that number is an adequate amount to handle maybe, maximum capacity of an event going on at the club?
Yes, one of the things that we talked about as a project team was how they would move forward in terms of using the area, and they've made a commitment that they know how many people they can manage at the facility and how many people their staff can manage. So they believe that that number is adequate for the golf course use, and that they wouldn't be scheduling, say, a golf tournament and a wedding at the same time.
All right, thank you.
That it, TJ?
That's it.
Paul, anything?
No, I'm all set.
I have nothing. No questions.
I have 1 or 2 questions. I noticed, so in your commercial accommodations, little cottages, they're basically 8-bedroom units, right?
Yes,
There's no cooking facilities of any kind in them?
that's correct.
And any problems if we condition it that way?
No, actually, the application indicates that that's the case.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant at the clubhouse, and
You want to encourage people to eat there?
the applicant is fully aware that that's a requirement under your bylaw.
Okay, and then if you go to the wastewater flows, which I think is in one slide forward from where you were.
There.
So you are reducing the concentration in the effluent from 5.5 to 4.15,
Correct.
but you're increasing the effluent from 13,000 gallons per day to 31,000. So the total loading will increase from the development.
No, we actually have there's a requirement for this zone of a no net increase. So our load will be, what we have for a load right now is at a discharge much greater than 8 milligrams per liter. So the calculations that have been provided to you make the assumption that our discharge level is at 35 milligrams per liter.
Okay.
I can tell you that we have some tests that suggest the number is much higher than that, but we conservatively used a more typical number for that. So there'll be no increase in loading rate as part of the project.
Okay. Let's see if I had any, the height. Height of the gym structure and,
Treatment plan is 17 feet.
yeah, I saw that.
Gym is, I think it says 25 feet 10 inches. It's a maximum of 26.
Okay.
And then the cottages are 35 feet. And we reviewed that with the
Cottages are
building.
35 feet.
We
Okay.
reviewed that with the building commissioner today.
Okay. But that conforms. Okay, I think that might be it for board questions right now. Are there comments or questions from the public? Okay, please come to the podium, state your name for the record.
My name is Ron Dyer. I'm a member of Valley Mead Community. I'm on the board of directors of the Valley Mead Property Owners Association, and I'm a member of the Town of Falmouth Finance Committee. The investors and the owners of this organization have done every single thing that they said they're going to do when they said they were going to do it. They've hired directors and senior managers that are competent, capable, trustworthy, and responsible in their approaches to every one of the questions that we've ever asked. They in turn have hired individual contributors who are, in addition, capable, competent, and easy to work with. This entire team, top to bottom, has been what we believe in the community as a very fortunate organization for us to be working with, not only from a Valley Mead Property Owners Association, but from a Town of Falmouth perspective as well. So, in that regard, we believe that the Valley Mead community is in support and of this proposal, and believes that the build-out will help to enhance the overall Town of Falmouth.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Excellent, thanks.
Hi, my name is Alan Peretti. I'm a resident of Fairway Point, which is the condominium association at Ballymead. I'm also the president of the condominium association. And I'll tell you, one of the key things that Kelly said that we're most appreciative of, and we're the ones that directly abut this project. And one of the things that Kelly said that we're most appreciative of, they've worked with us from step one to tonight. And they've made sure our interests have been protected throughout the whole thing. We've adjusted plans to protect our interests, and we're looking forward to the project. Every one of the members on it, we've given many of the letters to support that, so we're all in favor of this. Thank you.
Any questions about the project? Anyone opposed to the project want to make a comment? Okay. Well, if there's no further public comment or testimony or questions, and does the board feel they have enough information to render a decision?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so someone please make a motion to close the hearing.
Make the motion to close the hearing?
Second it.
So Ed and Jerry, actually, let's see.
Jerry can.
Jerry, you're not voting on this one,
I'll
so,
close it. I'll second.
okay, so Ed and TJ moved and seconded. Would someone like to make a motion in favor?
Make a motion in favor?
I'll second.
Okay, so Ed and Robert make the motion in favor, and then we need findings and conditions. I'm looking at the person that makes the motion.
Yeah, I think they've covered everything very well. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
So we want to find, let's see, this is under 240,
216, you want to find that the planning board submitted a site plan
right,
approval
and also 240-38A, that they...
and a butters approval.
They meet commercial accommodations by special permit allowed, and
And
they meet the
24107 for parking reductions. Please make a finding on how appropriate you feel that is.
The coastal overlay? Is that a-
we'll get there.
Okay.
I think the reduction's appropriate.
Good.
And, okay, so we're finding that they justified the parking reduction, finding that there's no net increase in the total loading as a result of this development. I think that's important under the coastal pond overlay. Clearly, there's support from the abutters.
I'll take some of the findings from the PowerPoint that we just saw in, for your wastewater and for the parking reduction, if that's okay with the board.
Any conditions?
Per plan.
As per plan.
Okay.
You want a condition, no kitchens?
No kitchens, no cooking?
Yeah, in the golf cottages, I would like to include that. Okay, are we ready to vote?
I think so.
I think so.
Sari, feel you have sufficient?
If the board feels comfortable with me dressing the findings a
Yes.
little bit,
We have the ultimate confidence in you.
so that I incorporate everything that was set forth in that PowerPoint, and say that you approve and take into consideration the site plan review. It's been through
Yes.
Cape Cod Commission.
Yes, so I think we
All those?
clearly, we need to find that it's been approved by the commission, by,
Planning, fire.
through site plan review, the planning board.
And those are the only conditions you have, per plans? No,
Per plans and no kitchens in the, and that the parking be, as they requested.
okay.
But
Well, that
that's
would be per
really as
plans
per
as well.
plans. That's,
Well,
they've
I'll
given
make
us a
that in the
very
findings.
comprehensive
Right. I'll
and
use what she put out.
well-designed set of plans and all that.
We don't need as-built, huh? Is
No.
that up
I
to
don't
the
see
board?
why you
I don't
would.
see-
The building
No.
department
Yeah.
requires them. I don't think this board needs them unless you want
No, just none of it.
verification of the height of the cottages, that it doesn't exceed 35 feet.
I think that's
No,
probably okay.
plenty of control over that.
All right, you want to call the vote?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. Okay, so unanimous. Good luck on the project.
Thank you, Kelly. And don't forget to send me that, because I'm going to use that PowerPoint.
I would ask that you, we have 5 more hearings, so please exit and go far away.
Do golf.
Not too often.
Seems like a nice course.
Hey, Chair, here's your gavel.
Go get it. They're leaving.
You're chatting in the back.
Okay. We do need to get on with the hearings, so please, any discussion, take it down the hall.
Thank you.
Okay, next hearing is a special permit hearing for number 038-17. I hope I'm not going to butcher this name. Mezkizan Trustees,
And would you appoint
20 Circle Road, Wacoit.
which board member, please?
And Jerry will be on this one.
Okay. Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws, you are hereby notified that Donald P. and Kathleen R. Meschison, trustees of Acton, Mass., applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 243C and 24216 of the Code of Falmouth to raise the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling and reconstruct with an attached two-car garage on subject property known as 20 Circle Road, Wacoit, Mass. We've got,
Why don't we pass out the
Oh, sure.
plans while you're reading?
Excuse me.
Okay, so one go that way? or-
I'm sorry, Ed. So for town comments, Conservation Commission, notice of intent hearing before Concom on 6/14/17, taken under advisement for vote within 21 days. Engineering, standard comments. Fire Department, no comment. Assessors, no comment. Planning, no comment. And that's it for...
And there's order of conditions. No, there's that.
Yeah, there's an order of conditions, actually. Okay. So we have an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. No issues associated from interested parties.
Okay, and representing the applicant?
For the record, my name is Brian Wall. I'm an attorney with an office in Sandwich, and I represent Donald and Kathleen Mischesin, trustees of the Mischesin Realty Trust. May I begin?
Thank you for correcting our pronunciation.
I think I got it right. Did I get it right?
Actually, you got it right.
Mischesin.
Yeah.
It's a lovely name, but maybe, so I don't, I'll just say applicant or petitioner, so I don't get tongue-tied. May I begin?
Yes.
Through the chair.
Yes.
This is a petition for a special permit under Section 240, Section 216, and 240-3. The applicant seeks to demolish and reconstruct a lawful pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. What I'd like to do initially is just talk about the existing conditions. As part of the package, there should be an existing conditions plan as well as a proposed conditions plan. The applicants own property at 20 Circle Road in McCoyett. It is currently comprised of 33,000 square feet. Prior to this project going forward, the applicants actually owned 3 separate lots along Circle Road fronting on Sea Pit Road. And in order to make this a better project, what they did was they went to the planning board, obtained approval not required, and actually combined 3 buildable lots into one, creating the 33,000 square foot lot before you tonight. The lot has frontage on Sea Pit Road and also on Circle Road. The rear of the property fronts on Sea Pit River. The property is currently improved with an existing 2-bedroom single-family dwelling with a detached garage, both of which are served, I should say the home is served by a non-conforming cesspool. The locations and sizes of the building are shown on the plan, and I also submitted pictures to show what the existing structures look like. As an application to alter a non-conforming structure, we have to make a case to the board that the structure is in fact non-conforming, so I'd like to do that next. The property, the 3 lots that I mentioned earlier, were initially laid out on a land court plan in 1926, and that was attached as Exhibit A to the application. As I mentioned, those lots have now been combined. The land court has approved the combination. According to the town's assessing records, the house was built in or about 1935, and I attached a copy of the assessor's property card to the application. The applicants purchased the property in 1994, and they have owned it since then. At the time that they purchased the property, the house and the garage were in the existing configurations as you see on the plan, and they appear to be several decades old, consistent with the assessing records suggesting that the house was built in 1935. And so based upon all of that evidence, we would suggest to you that it invites the conclusion that the existing structures are non-conforming. Actually, I skipped ahead. I didn't tell you what the non-conforming parts are. Chapter 240, Section 68D requires that principal structures on a lot be set back a minimum of 50 feet from saltwater bodies. At issue here is the Sea Pit River, and the existing house is 36 feet from the river, so it's non-conforming. The existing house is currently 23.7 feet from Circle Road, whereas the setback should be 25, and the garage is 9.3 feet from the road. The setback requirement with regard to the saltwater bodies was established in April of 1983, and obviously the structures predated that. And as I kind of already alluded to, it's our contention respectfully that because the lots were laid out in 1926, the assessor card suggests the house was built in 1935, and the Michesin's observations of that house are consistent with that age. It invites the conclusion that they're pre-existing non-conforming. As a backup argument, the bylaw does provide, and the recent amendments to Chapter 40A, Chapter 184 of the Acts and Resolves of 2016, now say that if a structure has been in existence for 10 years or more and not in compliance with the zoning code, they are now deemed to be non-conforming lawful pre-existing structures. And because the Michesins have owned the property for more than 20 years, we fall under that. So either way you look at it, we contend that the structures are non-conforming. So moving on to the proposed project, my clients, like everyone, are getting a little bit older. They've owned this house for over 20 years. It's essentially been a 2-bedroom cottage, and what they want to do is convert it into more of a home that would be suitable for persons that are advancing in age. The layout of the floor plan, which I've submitted as part of the application, has hallways that are going to be available for wheelchair, single-family living. They're basically thinking ahead about the years ahead. The most economical way to accomplish this type of project, unfortunately, is to tear down the existing structure and then build a new one. So that's what we're proposing to do. The proposed conditions are shown on the site plan. There'll be a new driveway, a new Title V septic system, and if you look at the plan, the cesspool is currently under the existing deck. It's going to be moved all the way out here to Seapit Road, as far away as possible from the wetlands, and it'll be fully Title V system. The proposed architectural plans were included as part of the application. It's for a relatively modest-sized 3-bedroom house. They are going up in one bedroom. The existing garage will remain in place. There are no alterations proposed to that. The new house will be 25 feet from Circle Road, so the non-conforming 23.7 feet will be eliminated. We have also asked the building commissioner to determine, because of the combination of lots, that the front yard is Seapit Road. We have not yet heard back from the building commissioner, but we see no reason why the request would not be accepted. If that is accepted, then the non-conforming nature of the garage will also be eliminated. But even if it's not, there are no changes proposed to the garage. The real kind of meat and potatoes of this application involves the distance to the Seapit River. Currently, it's 36. It will be moved back to 39. So we're actually going to reduce the non-conforming nature of that non-compliance with the code. Also, I'd like to say the following, that because of the flood plain requirements, the house and the deck are actually completely separated. So it's our contention that the only relief we really need has to do with the deck itself. The deck is built as a freestanding structure immediately adjacent to the house. Your bylaw in section 240-3 authorizes this board to grant permits to demolish and rebuild existing non-conforming structures by special permit. And your special permit conditions are set forth in 240-216, which I'm sure you're well familiar with. Essentially, it requires the applicant to establish that the proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on the neighborhood or the town in view of the site, and that the proposed use will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning code and the factors outlined in sections A through I of that section. Generally speaking, the argument is pretty straightforward. There's an existing single-family dwelling there now, 2 bedrooms. There's going to be an existing single-family dwelling with 3 bedrooms after on a much bigger 33,000 square foot lot. All provisions of the zoning bylaw will be met except for the existing setback for the garage and except for the existing setback to the river, which is actually being lessened by the proposed project. As far as lot coverage, height, and other setbacks, the project meets all of your requirements, and therefore we suggest that it's in harmony with the zoning code and consistent with the zoning code. How am I doing on my time? Mr.
You're
Chairman?
good. You're
Okay.
good. You've got half. You've used up half of it.
Oh, good. I'm almost done. Then I'll just touch the requirements in A through I, if I may. Section A requires that the adequacy of the site in terms of the size of the proposed use. So, as I said, there's an existing house there now that's going to be demolished and replaced with another house. There will be a slight increase in lot coverage and an increase of 1 bedroom, but the houses are, generally speaking, similar in size. And I would respectfully remind the board that, again, the applicant has combined 3 separate buildable lots into one 33,000 square foot lot. And given that, the site is adequate for the proposed use. Section B talks to suitability of the site for the proposed use. And the site is in a residential zoning district. It's currently occupied by a single-family residence with 2 bedrooms. It will have a single-family residence with 3 bedrooms thereafter. Although there's 1 more bedroom, essentially the use will be the same, a single-family residential property. Impact on traffic flow and safety, essentially the same argument. We're having the same use before as after, or after as before. And moreover, the elimination of 2 other building lots by the combination will substantially reduce the potential impacts that could have been there had the Mischezens decided to sell off those lots or develop them separately. Instead of 3 houses, you have 1. Impact on the neighborhood, visual character, including views and vistas.
I'm just going to ask everyone to please respect the fact that someone's speaking at the podium and not make any comments, whispering and all that. It's very distracting. So please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We contend there'll be no significant impact on the visual character of the neighborhood. There is the river there, but there's already an existing house and an existing garage. The garage is staying the same. The house is going to be slightly bigger, but we contend it will not substantially impact the view shed. Finally, adequacy of sewage disposal, source of water, and drainage. It's served by public water. It's a single-family residence, so drainage, we don't have to comply with stormwater management, but there is an order of conditions that's been granted for the project with a substantial amount of mitigation planting. So the new house is going to be, much better for the environment than the old house. And as I mentioned in my earlier part of the presentation, there's a non-conforming cesspool serving the property now, which is located
I really don't want to have to ask you to leave.
The cesspool is located here, and it doesn't comply with Title V. The new system will have a tank and a gravity line here to the sewage soil absorption system out here by the road, as far away from the wetlands as possible. So we suggest that represents a substantial improvement over existing conditions. Based upon all of the foregoing, my clients respectfully suggest that they've met the requirements of the special permit, and they would ask the board to exercise its discretion and let them build the home that they want to on the site. And I'm available for any questions, as is my client.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with board questions. Jerry, we'll start with you again.
Question, this is in a coastal overlay, so the nitrogen has to be mitigated, if I'm correct? I didn't bring my book
They're
with me.
improving it by the septic system, adequacy, 24216E. It's being improved through the cesspool. They don't have to do,
So the coastal pond overlay district applies, the mitigation applies to developments 5 acres or more or 5 lots or more, right? Not individual,
right,
uh,
thank you.
Thank you. I didn't have.
I mean, I wish it did, Frank,
You did. that's
Yeah,
but unfortunately, it doesn't.
right.
So they are making improvements, but the coastal
Okay.
pond overlay district does not come into play in this particular application,
right. Thank you.
beyond the fact that it's in the coastal pond overlay district.
No other questions, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
TJ?
Attorney Wall, you mentioned that you received the A&R approval from the Falmouth Planning Board, and then you received land court approval, I assume, up in Boston. Has the land court plan been filed with the local land court at Barnstable Registry?
It has, and I don't know if you actually looked or not, but there's a little idiosyncrasy that it's technically filed in the sense that the land court approved it, and it's been transmitted, and it is in a drawer at the Barnstable Registry District, but it has not yet been put on record. So if you go to look for it, you're not going to find it, and that's a idiosyncrasy of the land court system, that it's not going to get put on until there's a conveyance. But yes, the land court has fully approved the plan.
All right. And are all 3 lots under land court?
All 3 were combined by the land court and approved by the planning board.
All
So
right.
it's one, it now consists of one 33,000 square foot lot.
All right, thank you.
Paul?
No, Ken, no, thanks.
No, nothing,
Ed?
nothing.
No,
Robert?
just a clarification. Did you say the deck is a standalone structure? It's not connected at all to the house?
That's correct, and I am working on this project together with Michael Berselli of Falmouth Engineering. He couldn't be here tonight due to a personal obligation. If he were here, I'd have him answer this question because he's more qualified than me. But he explained it to me that it has to do with the floodplain building requirements and where the elevations are, and the house does not have to conform to, am I saying that right, floodplain requirements, or no? I better be careful of what I say, I'm not qualified, but the point of it is that the deck is constructed as a standalone structure, and it's adjacent to the house. Like, if you went there, you wouldn't know, you'd walk. as the
So
bridge
based
said.
on the plan, you're just beyond.
The deck's not held to the same standards as the
Where's the
house
house?
Yeah.
in the AE 13 zone.
That's better said, Sri, thank you. So the deck is not held to the same standards, and so it was kept as a separate structure.
Okay.
And that's where we need the relief, because the current distance is 36 feet. The proposed deck will be 39 feet.
Right. Okay. I had, let's see, just a couple of questions. So your lot coverage is increasing, but you have removed pavement, correct, on the driveway?
We have, the driveway is pervious in order to satisfy Conservation Commission requirements, and, but yeah, it's an overall reduction. And there's also the substantial mitigation plantings proposed that were approved by the commission. The lot coverage, Mr. Foreman, is on the plan.
Yeah, I think you went from 6.3 to 12.1 for structures, 8.1 to 21.2 for...
Coming out, but I can't get that fast. I'm trying to get there.
That's fine.
Sure.
Okay, so is that correct, what I just said?
Yes.
Yes, it's right there in the general notes on the plan, and yes, correct.
You mentioned the bedrooms are increasing? So
By one.
So the current structure has 2 bedrooms, you're going to 3?
That's correct.
Okay. And the height of, I'm not sure I saw that on the plan.
It's not on the plan that was submitted initially, and staff contacted me and alerted me to that, which I thank staff. And so there was a supplemental plan, that it's the architectural renderings that were submitted originally.
I just want to know the number.
29 and a half feet.
Thank you.
29 and a half. Compliant with zoning.
Okay, good. Those are my questions. I've heard all the board questions. Let's see if there's any comments.
Can I ask one?
Yes, sorry.
Brian, you stated that you had talked with the building commissioner about changing the frontage to Sea Pit Road instead of Circle Road. And you're not moving that garage.
We're not touching
So
the
that garage would still be non-conforming whether that is a front yard or not?
Non-conforming with respect to side yard setbacks,
Yes.
Because it has to be 10 feet?
It would
So-
remain.
but not with respect.
And did you present Rod Palmer with plans for him to initial?
No, I presented him with a letter. I can follow up on that if you'd like.
That's usually what he requires, 2 copies of your proposed site plan, and he'll sign off on them?
Yeah, it was a number of weeks ago that I submitted that. I believe that I did provide the site plan to him.
Okay.
Yeah, as an attachment to the letter. But I
Okay.
can follow up on that afterwards.
Well,
We
if
have a
you,
whispery crowd tonight. Can I please ask everyone to respect the fact that when you're recognized, you have an opportunity to go to the podium, and when you're not, we'd like you to listen and let us hear what the person at the podium is saying.
so we'll just, if the board approves this, we'll just make a finding that that may be a future thing, but regardless, the house has become conforming,
Correct.
if it is still circle, correct?
Yeah.
It is 25,
It is
okay.
25 feet.
I
And
just
that's
wanted to get
exactly
that
right.
clarified.
Right. The idea of getting Sea Pit Road declared would be to help with the front yard setback on, instead of being 25, it would be 10. So it would reduce the non-conforming nature of the garage. But any way you look at it, we're not proposing.
It wouldn't reduce the nonconformity of the garage,
Well,
because it would still be required to be 10 feet from a side yard and a rear yard, and it still would not meet that,
agreed. It would not eliminate the non-conformity.
Correct.
It would reduce it from,
being in the front yard,
yeah,
correct?
right, for 25 down to 10.
Right.
The requirement would be reduced from 25 to 10, thus reducing.
Right, but it's
non-conformity.
grandfathered in,
Yeah,
okay.
but we're not, I think the garage, not to be argumentative about it, but we're not touching the garage.
Right, and it's
Yeah,
been there a long time, so
it's
it's
been there
fine. Okay,
for a very long time.
thank you.
Well, you're reducing it in the sense that it's no longer non-conforming with respect to the front yard.
Correct.
Right,
I think we can state it that way.
right.
Paul, you did have a question?
Terry Wall, just a question. If all the lots were in common ownership, Why did it have to go to the land court? Did the town require that?
No, it's because the land is registered land.
Mhm.
We have two different recording systems in Massachusetts. One is the recorded system and the other is the registered system.
Sure.
And so whenever you alter property lines of registered land, the land court has to approve it. And so we went to the planning board to have the internal lot lines erased and combine the lots. And then because it's registered, we had to submit it to the engineering department and get their approval as well.
But I was just wondering why you had to erase the lines.
We did not have to. That's the whole point of my presentation, is that what my client did was voluntarily give up the rights to 3 lots
Okay.
to create one.
He just felt like creating one lot and put an 81X.
Yep,
On-
and
okay.
what it is that my clients have owned this house for more than 20 years, and they want to make it their home again, or I'm not saying that right. They're taking the cottage they've had for 20-plus years and turning it into a more substantial home that they intend to spend more time in. And they're committed to the lot. And so what they did was they didn't care about giving up the value of the other lots. They wanted to make this a nice site for themselves. And so they voluntarily combined the land.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, I do have one other question. So I do see that the house will now include a 2-car garage. And
Yes.
you'll have Seapet Road as the
That's what the increase was.
driveway access. So why are you retaining the other garage at all?
Storage, just storage. It's been there for so long.
Okay. And I guess I could ask, why still have the access onto Circle Road?
Just because it's there and it's existing.
Okay.
They could
All right.
back their boat into it using Circle Road.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's a fine reason, if the boat fits in the garage. Any comments or questions from the public? Okay. I think we had a thorough presentation. Does the board feel they have enough information to?
I do.
I do.
Okay. Someone would like to move to close the hearing?
Make a motion to close.
I'll second that.
So Ed and Paul to close the hearing, and someone like to make a motion with respect to...
Do you want to close out that?
Oh, all in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
And aye, yeah. So that passes unanimously. And would someone like to make a motion with respect to the project? Jerry, you can on this one.
I will, but I won't be able to come up with all the specifics that he mentioned, so I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Jerry,
Second that.
seconded by Paul. So let's think a little bit about the findings.
Make reference to the specific articles.
240-3C first.
Right, so are things getting more or less non-conforming?
Less, it's less not
Correct. With
conforming.
respect to the,
House is conforming.
with respect to the setback from the river, right? We're going from 39 to
36 to 39.
36 to 39, I'm sorry,
And that's the 3-foot contour line.
to the 3-foot contour, so that's an improvement. I think another finding is...
Set back to the front yard off Circle.
Well, let's deal, I was going to suggest that we talk about the fact that they're not making any change to the garage.
But they did improve the setback from the house to Circle Street.
If-
So that should be under 240-3.
Yeah. Oh, well, because of they moved the house further from Circle Street, but if the front yard becomes
Right.
C-pit. so
But that hasn't been before
hasn't
the board yet,
happened
so.
But can we make a finding that that's under consideration? How do we want to deal with that?
Well, I'll make a finding that the applicant approached the building commissioner to define the front lot, or the front property line to be C-Pit Road and Circle as side yard.
In which case, there will be no nonconformity.
Either way, it
Either-
still remains the same.
Yeah.
The house is in conformance now and will be
Oh,
then,
right. With
and the
respect to
garage will
front
still be
yard, it is. You're right.
non-conforming.
So from our perspective and conditions, it's, for this, doesn't matter if they don't give the address to Seepit Lane.
Yeah, the
Either
address
way,
won't
it's conforming.
change
Yeah,
unless they request it to change.
they are.
So basically, it's exactly what we just said. The structure is now conforming to the front yard existing and a finding that they approached the building commissioner, okay?
Right. And they're replacing the septic and improving it. Because they had a cesspool, that was testimony?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So that's another finding. And,
The deck is a separate structure?
okay,
That does not have to meet floodplain requirements. I think that's what you said, sir.
Huh?
The deck is a separate structure that does not have to meet the floodplain requirements. That's why they're making it a separate structure.
Right, well, okay,
I mean, if that's not important.
that's fine.
no, that's a good finding. I think another finding, they're going from 2 to 3 bedrooms, right?
Right. Their improved pervious area?
I'm going to say per plan, because it lists all the
Right.
reductions.
They are increasing,
Increasing, but
they
less
are
than.
increasing lot coverage, but
But they're still in compliance?
Fine, that's,
but they're still in compliance.
Improve the pervious area?
Sure. I mean, on the driveway, they're making a modest improvement to that. How about that? And they meet the criteria on 242-16. Okay? Does that give you enough to work with? Mm-hmm. Good. Conditions?
Build it like the drawings, plan?
Per plan? Okay.
Three
No,
bedrooms?
3 bedrooms?
No alteration to existing garage.
What?
No alteration to the existing garage.
That's a finding. We'll make that a finding, no alterations to existing detached garage.
Right. Yeah, that is a finding, but I think Robert's asking whether that should be a condition of the permit. I presume.
They would have to come to
This is the
us.
plan, they would have to
Yeah.
come to us
You made
for
a
any
finding, right.
modifications, right? They're
If they
still,
were to change it, they can demolish it without our approval and not
they're
reconstruct
still
it.
non-conforming completely, so it's still fall under special permit criteria.
No. If they go to demolish and relocate it with
They have
complying setbacks, that's a by right under 243E because the lot is more than 20,000 square feet.
Even though they have a special permit? Now, there's an aspect of the bylaw that I didn't remember. Okay.
243-E, I believe.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, you
Thank you
have
very much.
approval to go forward.
Excuse me.
Yep.
243C5. Ooh, was I off?
All right. I was going to look it up, too, to check.
I've made enough mistakes tonight, thank you.
Okay, so our next special permit hearing is 039-17, 90 Loop Road Nominee Trust.
Okay.
And who's
And
going
it's
to sit on
another
that?
raise and reconstruct.
Who's going to sit on that?
And since Jerry just sat on this one, then Robert will sit on the next one.
All right. Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws, you're hereby notified that 90 Loop Road Nominee Trust of Lexington, Massachusetts applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 240-3C and 240-68D of the Code of Falmouth to raise and reconstruct with pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on the property known as 90 Loop Road, West Falmouth, Mass. We've got some department comments, engineering, standard comments, Concom, notice of intent application before Concom hearing continued to July 19th for modifications. Fire department, no comment. Assessors, no comment. Planning, no comment. And we don't have any letters from any interested parties. So that's it.
And for the applicant, we have, looks like Michael McGrath.
Yes, my name is Michael McGrath. I'm a registered engineer and professional land surveyor. I work for Holmes & McGrath. I'm here to present the application. Accompanying me tonight is Jim Cappuccino from Hutker Architects. This is a special permit because the existing house is a pre-existing non-conforming structure. I passed out a 11 by 17 for each member, and this existing house was built in 1972. The town of Falmouth now has a minimum setback from the waters of Buzzards Bay, which is defined as the 4-foot contour based on the old mapping. It's now the 3-foot contour, and it's only 14 feet at about this location, which is the most northerly corner of the existing house. And so in order to reconstruct this house, we have to come get a special permit. The lot is mostly wetland. It was created in the 70s. The house was built in 1972, as I said. The most important thing to focus on as far as what we're doing that's very positive is that the house lies partially in a velocity zone. So the house is going to be elevated to conform with the floodplain standards. And it's going to be erected on pile-supported foundation. It'll be elevated in accordance with the building code, in accordance with the town standards. The other thing that's important is we've gone to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health has approved the D-nitrofied septic system. The D-nitrofied septic system consists of a hoot system and then a soil absorption system that's been located as far away from the salt marsh as possible. The Board of Health voted to approve this. We actually, this is a revision in accordance with their vote, but we don't have the written decision yet. Last night, we presented this to the Conservation Commission, and the biggest issue with the Conservation Commission is that this is a cramped site, to say the least. It's going to be difficult to basically remove the existing house and then reinstall a new house in the same footprint. There's slight changes, but I forgot to bring it, but I did submit to the Board of Appeals electronically a construction methodology that's very close to what's on the plan.
It's in the file.
It's in the file. It has some more specific steps. For instance, when he comes in here, it describes how he's going to tear the building down, and it also describes that, for instance, during the construction, there'll be a small dumpster because it is a cramped site. But the bottom line is we do have a continuous boundary of work, or that it consists of straw wattles plus dug-in silt fence. So that erosion control will protect the adjacent salt marshes. The other thing that we've done is that we've agreed with the commission to construct some mitigation plants. The Falmouth Wetlands Regulation requires that for every square foot change in different zones, there has to be compensatory mitigation of plants. And so these dark green areas are mitigation areas, and they exceed what the Conservation Commission requires. We do have to take down some trees. One tree is for the to construct the septic system. There's also 2 trees over here that'll be taken down, and we have proposed to replace that with 2 different trees. So, all in all, this is a difficult site, but we have made the site design comply with the standards of 2 other boards. For you to grant the special permit, you have to make findings in accordance with 240-3C, which is that we can extend, alter, or change a pre-existing non-conforming structure, but we can't make it more detrimental. And I think that if you think about my testimony so far, and Jim will actually talk about the architecture, I think that you'll see that we have proposed a work that can be issued a special permit. Now, to talk about 240, 216, the site's obviously adequate because the house has been there since 1972. The lot coverages does slightly increase, but they do conform. We obviously will have no impact on the traffic flow, which is one of the standards. We will, if you've been to the site, you cannot see the house from the street, so we assert that there's very limited impact on views and vistas. We have a brand-new Title V system that has demonstrated capability of reducing nitrogen. There's adequate access, there's adequate utilities as far as electricity, cable, and town water. Will have no impact on affordable housing. We don't require planning board approval, and we think that we're in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw. We think also that based on the way that it's clear that the conservation has closed the hearing and they're going to issue an order approving the project. Obviously, we don't have that. And I think Jim Cappuccino ought to talk about the elevation of the proposed structure.
For the record, Jim Cappuccino with Hutker Architects. Okay, so as Mike said, we're raising a 3-bedroom dwelling and reconstructing a new 3-bedroom dwelling. This is a section showing the mean average grade and our floodplain elevation at 17. The bottom of structure needs to be 2 feet above that, so we're setting bottom of structure at 19.5. We have a gently sloping roof that goes from 30 feet to 34.9.5 at this edge. So the first floor plan is accessed by a staircase here, which gets you to a landing, to an open living, dining, kitchen area, and there'd be a small office off in this location, and a stair leading to the second floor. Access to decks and screened porch on the west side. And second floor access, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, and a small balcony off this bedroom. The exterior materials of the home are to capture the spirit and essence of what's there and existing. So we're proposing a singular exterior cladding, western red cedar, left natural to weather, and simple window and door detailings to complement that.
So I believe that we presented enough information for you to approve the special permit. We stand ready to answer any questions that the board might have.
Okay, let's start with Robert this time.
No questions.
Ed?
No questions.
Paul?
No questions.
TJ?
All right. How many beds are existing and what's proposed?
There's 3 bedrooms in the existing structure, and there's 3 bedrooms proposed.
All right, and then the new septic system is rated for 3 beds?
Yes.
And the distance from Buzzards Bay, I'm sorry, is that going to be improved at all, or are you staying at
No, it's
14
going to be
feet?
the same.
The exact same, okay. All right.
14 feet.
That does it for me.
Okay, Jerry?
No questions.
Okay, so somehow I noted that you were going to 26 feet, but I'm not sure why. So 14 to 14, no change.
Right.
Right.
And that's the principal nonconformity, right?
That's
The
the
nonconformity. We couldn't have made it 14 and a half feet? So we could have found that you were improving it?
I would, as a registered land surveyor, one has to be careful when one measures through an invisible line called a contour line.
Okay.
Good point.
Can you tell me a little more about the septic system? You say it's denitrifying?
It's a technology that first came to town. It's the Buzzards Bay Coalition came to West Falmouth, and they got a grant to put in 20 systems. And one of the systems that they disclosed was available was a HOOT system.
Can you
And
spell that?
HOOT.
That's, okay.
Is that
And-
George? You found it?
What?
No, it's not George's, I don't think
Who?
so.
No, it's not George's.
George is called the
Layer cake.
layer cake. This is a mechanical system in that there's an air compressor in the, and a
system.
special nitrification unit in the first tank, and then the second tank has got a carbon source and a denitrification phase. And I
Okay.
have not seen the data, but what I've been told by the town's wastewater consultant is that it does denitrify.
Does the state recognize it as a denitrifying system?
One always has to be careful when one describes the bureaucracy of the state.
All right.
And that they have
Enough.
3 different levels of approval, and and so it has been granted, I believe, piloting.
Okay.
But
Sounds
they've
like a
had
hoot.
that program since '95, and only one has graduated all the way through.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if the public has any comments or questions.
Hi, I'm Derek.
I would ask you to go to the podium and state your name for the record. That's the only way we can accept testimony.
Hi, I'm Derek McDonald, and I am a neighbor. I live on 38 Place Road. And I guess my 2 questions are, is there a setback requirement for septic systems from lot lines, number 1? And number 2, I think, as I understood it, the height of the new structure, the maximum height is going to be 34.9½, and I'm wondering what the existing house is.
Okay, let's see if we can get the answers from Mr. McGrath on those 2 questions.
The Title V requires that soil absorbent systems be 10 feet off of property lines. It is much closer than that on the approved plan. It was moved in accordance with a request from the Board of Health. I'm going to scale off the plan. It looks like it's 5 feet.
With the Board of Health's approval.
It's the Board of Health's approval, yes. I don't know the height of the existing building. Do you know?
Yeah.
No.
But 34.9 is correct?
For the proposed building, yes. If the proposed building is taller than the existing.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. And by the way, you're free to say whether you're in favor or in opposition. We like to keep track of that.
Hello, I'm Lou Stern. I live at 49 Loop Road, 5 doors away from this building site. I'm also one of the 4 members of the Board of Directors for the Situate Place Homeowners Corporation and one of the 4 members of the Architectural Review Committee for that association. We had our annual meeting 2 weeks ago and discussed this process. There was no issue around the building per se, but there was questions about the process for the building, both around removal of the materials and the length of the project. The fact that it was projected to be approximately, if I understand it, 9 months. And we just went through a 9-month process for the house across the street, and there were significant noise problems starting at 6 in the morning. So the neighborhood is concerned about the fact that for another 9 months, there will be projects going for very loud, starting early in the morning. There will be very loud and big construction equipment going down a very, very small driveway. This is a very, very small property, as you know, and it's very hard to park on the street unless you go off the street, and for cars to get by, it's a very small road. So the issue are the concerns about the process as opposed to the building per se. Thank you.
Okay. Mike, do you want to make, you've said that there's a limit to work that's been proposed. Are there? I don't think we normally limit hours
Well,
of
that's
construction.
Concom's limit of work. That's
Right.
Concom's
Right.
limit
I
of work
understand.
line.
That's not, it would seem to me appropriate that you condition that they not start construction before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
The
And no work
noise,
on Sundays? Or-
the noise is 11 to 7, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., I believe. The town ordinance is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yes.
noise.
I understand, but if the...
I volunteered at 8
if-
o'clock
if-
because of my own experience in my neighborhood.
I mean, if
So-
they're willing to accept 8, I think that is
And-
responsive to the concerns of the neighborhood.
Weekends.
And weekends, no weekends?
No Sundays.
I mean, I do know a lot of times they will want to do work on,
I know.
It expedites.
Got one next door.
and if you can work on Saturday, you're going to get done sooner, that's true. Okay, but no work before 8. And then in terms of parking, Loop Road is a private road?
Taken over by this town.
Okay. Public way.
It has been taken. I'm sorry.
Yes.
There's no question, this is a very cramped site, and however, once the foundation is installed, they could park one vehicle there underneath the building, perhaps 2. So, and I know at times there's going to be more than that in workers, because that's the way the nature of the beast is. But we cannot park in the driveway because of access for construction, plus the, you don't block the access if there was an accident, so there will have to be some parking in the street. But it's only for as long as it takes to get the house built. I'm sympathetic because it just took me a very long time to get a deck built.
Yeah. And what, Sheree, maybe you can educate us.
What's that?
Are there regulations regarding that?
No, but I would think you would want to work, this whole area is a sensitive area with Concom. I would think that the applicant would want to get some type of instruction and see where there is possible off-road parking in the nearby area that's not as sensitive to keep it off Loop Hole. But if you look, or Loop Road, excuse me, Loop Road is like this wide, but they do have an area
Right.
that appears to be about 15.
Some shoulder.
Michael can scale that, a shoulder.
Oh, the edge of
Do you have your
pavement.
scale, Michael, on your plan? Look on your colored plan that you did so well.
Shows edge of pavement berm.
Yeah, I can't tell, it's, yeah,
Yeah,
from the
that's
berm,
About 8 feet,
about 8 feet.
approximately.
I was,
That's wide enough.
I was good.
More lucky.
I was good once.
Can you limit the,
Yes, it's about 8 feet.
So, I mean.
So there is a little bit of
Parking
leeway
off the
there.
public way, I think that's a,
Right.
okay. Any other comments?
Off the paved public way,
Yeah.
because
That
that
is a
public way is
public way.
actually
You're right.
40
You're-
feet, but
you're
it's
right.
not. Okay, sorry, I didn't. mean to-
Okay, so, does the board have sufficient information at this point?
I think so.
Okay, I'm ready to hear a motion to close the hearing.
Make the motion to close the hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, Ed and Paul again. To close, all in favor? Aye. And Robert, you're voting on this one?
yep.
Okay, so anybody want to make a motion either in favor or opposed?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as proposed.
Second.
Okay, so that would be Paul and Ed. Let's start with findings.
Not more detrimental.
Starting with the non-conforming.
240-3C.
243C.
Okay, so the the nonconformity remains unchanged with respect to the setback from the waters of Buzzards Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not worse, not better.
So there's no increase in nonconformity.
Right. So are there improvements?
Well, there's improvement to the sewage, obviously.
Right, I'm asking Paul.
Oh, excuse
He's the
me.
one that made the motion.
Improvement, yeah, it's a new home, it's a new home that will enhance the neighborhood. That's subjective, but.
Speak up, I think.
Have they improved their wastewater treatment in any way?
They have, by installing a denitrifying
All right,
system.
there we go. And how about, let's see, number of bedrooms remains,
The elevation is,
okay, they've,
It conforms to the, it will conform to the current floodplain requirements.
right, good. Bedrooms remain unchanged at 3?
Yeah?
Lot coverage conforms,
Yep, 240-260.
right? Goes from 8.4 to 9.6 for structures, 10.7 to 11.9 for structures, paving, and parking, well below the limits. Height is conforming, 34.9, even though they're raising it, elevating it.
Yeah.
I think we want to make note of the Board of Health.
They must have granted a variance.
Setbacks.
Variance, if you want to, that they were allowed to get within 5 feet of the lot line for the soil absorption system. And they've proposed a limit of work. Right?
Conservation.
Conservation.
And the order of conditions, you want to bring up the fact that the hearing's closed? Oh, sorry, I'll be quiet.
No, you're.
are we doing order of conditions?
The conservation hasn't rendered the decision yet. Is that what the testimony was? But they've closed the hearing. So I guess, so in general, when we do these decisions where conservation's involved, we adopt their,
Subject to
If we don't have an order of conditions, you usually adopt their conditions.
their conditions.
Do we reference, want to make findings to the hours of work agreed to?
Yeah, that'll be in the
That'll be a
conditions.
Okay.
condition.
Okay, so right now, we're dealing with findings. And I think that's all I had. So then we move to conditions, Paul.
Conditions, okay, per plan, as per plan, parking shall be off the paved right-of-way
During the construction
during the
process.
construction.
And hours of operation for the construction?
No work before 8 AM, Monday through Saturday, and no work on Sunday.
Should we have a finding that the applicant is agreeable to that?
That the applicant, yes. I think that would, under the findings, we should note that the applicant.
Finding to support the
I
condition.
didn't hear that.
Yeah,
the-
that's true.
Under the findings, the
Applicant
applicant,
agreed for the reduced
in
hours.
response to concerns from the neighborhood, the applicant agreed to a limit on the start of construction to 8 AM, Monday through Saturday. Okay?
And 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms. All right, I think that's everything.
Mr. Chairman, can I point something out?
Close the hearing.
But I did submit a construction methodology that's
It's in
different
the
on the
file.
plan.
Yeah.
It's in the file.
All right.
And it will be one of the documents listed in the decision.
Yeah, well, that's fine. If we want to, do we want to reference that in the findings? There
I
was-
always, it's in the documents submitted to the file, and it'll be noticed in the condition as a plan.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, project is approved.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I like the new system.
All right, so while Paul's getting ready for the next hearing, I'll mention what it is. So that is 040-17, Gross, 19 Cove Road.
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws, you're hereby notified that John E. Gross and Pamela Twitchell Gross of Amherst, New Hampshire, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 240-3C and 240-68A of the Code of Falmouth to construct a second-floor addition, attached garage, and an addition at the rear of the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on subject property known as 19 Cove Road, Falmouth, Massachusetts. And for town comments, we have conservation, not within their jurisdiction. No comments from the assessors. No comments from planning. And no comments from the fire department. We don't have any letters either way, in support
Okay.
or opposition.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, who's the fifth member on
Yep,
this?
we're alternating, so this would now be Jerry.
Jerry, thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Holmes & McGrath. I'm an engineer at Holmes & McGrath representing the applicant. The location of this project is 19 Cove Road. The applicants and owners are here in the audience, the Gross family. I would like to make a clarification. We've just been informed by the Gross family that this has been the residence, permanent resident for the past year, and they actually updated that in the assessor's department here in the town of Falmouth. In the application, we show that their address was in New Hampshire, but for the past year, their address, permanent address, has been this location.
Excuse me, Raul, they need to notify the assessors because we have to,
Right, so I did say that they did notify the assessors department.
until we get a change from the assessors, I have to mail to, or Ashley has to mail to, but they certified on a list. So I'll leave
Understood.
that up to you to give it to them.
Understood. So the project is a proposed additions and alterations to a pre-existing non-conforming structure in accordance to section 240-3C. The existing structure is a single-family, three-bedroom dwelling. It was built in the 1960s. The property is approximately a little more than 10,300 square feet. The existing house front setbacks is approximately 21.3 feet from the street frontage. The required setback is 25 feet. This setback is actually to the landing off of the main entrance to the house. A second nonconformity is to the existing deck to the house, which has a setback of 9.7 feet to the side property line. The required setback is 10 feet. So those are the two nonconforming setbacks on this structure in accordance to section 240-68A. The proposed addition is to add a garage to the right side of the house, add an extension to the back side of the house, and add a second floor to the house. The setbacks are not being increased, not being reduced by the proposed additions. In fact, both additions will conform to all the setbacks, given that the existing main foundation of the house meets the 25 feet to the front, and the main house foundation meets the 10-foot setbacks to all property sidelines. Then there's going to be a new front door to the house, and the new landing of that front door will still be in non-conforming to the front setback, but it will be slightly increased from 21.3 to 21.7. So even though it's a slight increase, it's still a betterment to that non-conformity. The existing deck is being removed. In place will be a terrace, so the deck will no longer be a structure. Therefore, the 9.7 feet non-conformity is removed from this project, and therefore the proposed project will conform to side setbacks. So we reduce one of the existing non-conformities. The proposed structures will conform to lot coverage by structure and also lot coverage by structures, pavement, and parking. The proposed project will remain a three-bedroom dwelling. The improvement to the septic system is the removal of the existing cesspool and installation of a conforming Title V septic system. We believe the project provides with all the provisions of 240-216. The lot size is adequate. There's no effects to traffic since it is a single-family dwelling. It will remain a single-family dwelling. There's no impacts to visual characters on the neighborhood. There's adequate utilities. It's a single-family dwelling. It will continue to use the utilities that it currently uses. There's an improvement to the septic system, and there's no effects of affordable housing with this project. And with that, we believe we meet the intent of the bylaws, and we're in harmony with the bylaw. And if there's any question, something I do want to add, the proposed house roof will be approximately 25 feet from the average grade on the front. So it's below the 35 feet limitation. On the roof, there's a proposed roof deck that adds another 4 feet to that ridge of the roof, but it is still well below the 35 feet limitation. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Let's start with Jerry.
No questions. No questions.
Okay, I heard you. TJ's next.
All right. Raul, with the basement, can you explain what's down there existing and what's proposed?
Storage and utilities.
Existing as well as proposed, so
Right.
remain unchanged? And what's the height of the proposed structure?
So the roof ridge is going to be approximately 25 feet, but there's, like I mentioned, there's a roof deck and there's a railing. So there's another approximately 4 feet on top of that.
So about 29 feet?
Approximately 29 feet, below 30 feet.
Forgive me here, because the plans are a bit of a mess here, but I had in my notes there was an office depicted in the plans, I think.
It's right here. Is that what you're thinking?
Right, so that'll be a home office. Trying to get my bearings here. That'll be above the proposed garage.
That's correct.
Second floor. And, all right, so you said it was 3 beds, remaining 3 beds. Is there, yeah, the cased opening off to the side, is that what I'm reading, Raul?
I'm sorry, what?
There's no cased opening.
No cased opening for that home office?
We'll review this further with the client. Yeah, as I understand, if it provides privacy, it's considered a bedroom, so we have to review with the client so that that home office cannot be considered a bedroom.
Okay. So you might consult with them further about cased opening.
Or the board can just condition that it be a cased opening, as they usually do.
I think I had something else. I might come back then.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go to Paul.
No questions.
Ed?
None, looks like it's well laid out. No problem.
Robert, anything?
No,
What is the septic rated for in terms of
3-bedroom system.
3-bedroom system? So that sets a limit for you.
Have you thought of what you were going to say?
No.
If you think of it later.
I'm trying to interpret my notes and I'm having a tough
Okay.
job doing that right now.
Let's just go to the public, see if there's any public comment in favor or opposed, or just a question. Anything? Yeah.
If I can add, the applicant went around the neighborhood and presented the project to the neighborhood, and they do have a list of signatures in support of the project.
Why don't you submit that to the clerk?
Thank you.
It's the best part of the job, that stamp. Okay, well, I don't really have any other questions. So if the board's ready, we could close this.
I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, Paul and Ed, all in favor?
Aye.
And me as well, so that's unanimous. And then I guess we're ready to have a motion for approval or not for the project.
I'll make the motion in favor of the project.
Second it.
Okay, so moved in favor by TJ, seconded by Ed, and now I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you.
On the hot seat here, we front yard was 21.3 feet, to 21.7.
Good.
Side yard setback where the deck previously was, that's being improved.
Being removed, right?
Removed, and then the side setback will be
Conforming.
completely conforming. Where they're at 3 beds, they're going to remain at 3 beds. Cesspool is being removed. Title 5 rated for 3 beds will be installed. Let's see. What are we trying to?
No, just,
Okay. 240-216. Let's see. Just kind of thinking about that office right now.
I definitely want to make a finding that the
Yeah.
plan shows a door,
Sure.
So why don't we do that? We'll
and it
make-
meets the criteria of a bedroom, which the septic doesn't have the capacity for.
There you go. That's a perfect find.
There we go.
but what,
Glad TJ thought of it.
if they, can I ask a question? If they can only have a 3-bedroom, and they choose to use the downstairs as a bedroom and convert an office upstairs, isn't the deed and everything else protective? Because we're saying it has to be a three-bedroom, and they could actually use any of the
It's
rooms.
just, we want
to
a decision
reconfigure.
to match the, the Board of Health and,
It has to. Once a property is conveyed, not everybody looks at the special permits and sees it's 3 bedrooms only or goes to the Board of Health. And they may use it as a bedroom, and it impacts the septic and the nitrates, the whole bit.
No, I understand that, just the ability. Never mind, it's the way you do business. It must have a closet to be a bedroom also, not just a door.
No, no. CMRs do not require a closet in a bedroom.
I will,
It's square footage of a room, ceiling height, electricity, and ventilation. There's no mention of closet.
I'll take your word for it, right now.
You can ask the engineer.
Don't I?
okay, so we have the condition to support, they have the finding to support the condition, so let's move on to conditions.
Per plan, with the exception of the second floor office.
I asked
can
for a
condition
4-foot, usually 4-foot case
What's the
opening.
usual, is it 4 feet?
Well, they've got a 3.5-foot opening on the plan, but they do have a small return. So you can ask that that return be removed and the wall be flush,
Right.
if that's what you want to do. I'm
I
just saying.
think that's the appropriate thing to do.
No habitable space in the basement.
We didn't get into the basement.
I wouldn't say no habitable space.
Well, it's used for storage and,
Remaining as storage?
We've set the bedroom limit, that's the key issue.
Right, and you can just make a condition that no bedrooms in the basement.
Right.
The Holmes and McGrath letter says it's a 5-bedroom Title V.
That's what I was wondering.
He just stated it's a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
That's what they...
Well, is it a 5 or a 3? We'd like to have that.
Raul, can you confirm, well, don't we have a septic plan attached?
It looks like
What is the flow on that?
I'll get the 5-bedroom.
Yeah, look at your flow.
5-bedroom.
It's a 550 equivalent, so it's got a 5-bedroom on the plan itself.
And it's in the letter dated the 23rd
I
of
think when
May.
we asked Raul, he said it was a 3.
well, that's a big difference.
Now that the hearing is...
And it's got Tim's stamp on it, Raul.
We got a problem here.
We've got
Well, maybe
reconsideration, right?
No? Well, I guess we could reopen.
I mean, we got a written letter.
You can make a condition that they verify to us that the septic system is 5 bedrooms. In that event, we do not require the door taken off the office.
Correct.
Right.
Maybe
How's
that's
that?
Sounds
I like
good.
that.
it. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'm looking at,
Well, TJ's the maker of the motion.
I agree with Sarie's suggestion.
Whatever it was.
but I will ask for verification. Okay, Raul?
If it's 550, you shouldn't penalize the, thank you.
All right. So with those modifications to the conditions, so we have, just to be clear, a request for verification on the capacity of the septic system. If it's sufficient for 5 bedrooms, then we will not require.
Right. In the event it's only 3 bedrooms, then the door has to come off the office. Pretty sure it's 5.
And I think that was the only major, although their testimony was they want to keep it as 3 bedrooms. But,
Okay.
all right?
That's all I have.
Removal of the deck, obviously, is conversion to patio. All right? I think that we do want to, I know that's on the plan, Sari, but that's key to removing the
Right.
nonconformity, and I think that's important. So if we're ready, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'm in favor, so that's unanimous. Yeah.
That's why I was confused.
Raul, it's all Tim's fault.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Not to be a nitpicker.
I will always get stuck when somebody can't make it.
Okay, we have 2 hearings left before we go to the open meeting. The next one is 044-17 Tucker, 1 Buzzards Bay Avenue in Woods Hole.
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 48 of the Mass General Laws, you're hereby notified that David W. and Patricia A. Tucker, trustees of San Francisco, California, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit pursuant to Sections 240-3C of the Code of Falmouth to raise and reconstruct the pre-existing non-conforming detached garage on the subject property known as 1 Buzzards Bay Ave, Woods Hole.
You have to take it all the way down in order for it to go all the way up and stop holding on to it.
I think you got all the way down.
For referrals,
Hold on a second. Paul, let's let Jerry finish this.
Oh, my God.
So he show us how it's done. Yes, small piece of paper.
We have those plans. That's why she's the zoning administrator.
This will take there.
The pins?
Yeah, he's a...
There should be some in the
podium there. There might be a
podium.
few.
Sorry, Bill. Do you want me to hold them for you?
Just looking to see if we have anything in the back here.
Did you find them, Bill? Staple it to the wall.
Yeah.
for referrals, engineering standard comments, Conservation Commission, keep stormwater on property, drainage onto Bowditch Road, flow down Quistit Ave towards wetland. Fire Department, no comment. Assessors, no comment. And Planning, no comment. And we don't have any letters in favor or opposition.
But we do have plans.
But we do have plans. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay.
You're on, Bill.
Bill Roslansky, representing this project for David and Patricia Tucker. This project is to replace a garage, which is a two-car garage existing, big enough for Model Ts. But they would like to put actual modern cars in their garage. So we're going from about a 20-foot by 20-foot structure, which is not in terrible shape, to a 24 by 24 that will meet all the new building codes. The nonconformities on this project are the back lot line and the lot line on Bowditch. The lot is bordered by not one, not two, but three streets. And the setback, existing setback from Bowditch is 1.6. We're proposing to increase that to 2.6. And from the back lot line, which is not a street, it's just a neighboring property, we're going to keep that setback the same. It's 5 feet now instead of 10, and we're going to keep it at 5. The other two setbacks are well within conformity in both directions. One of them is over 130 feet, the other's over 50, existing and proposed. The existing garage is about 13 feet tall. The new garage would be just under 18 feet. And we've kept it as close to the corner of the lot as we can so that the curb cut stays as far away from the intersection of Harbor Hill Road and Quistit Ave. That's the busiest intersection in that, which is it's the closest, busiest intersection to the existing curb cut where the driveway. We looked at sliding the garage more down towards the house, but it's actually pretty steep going toward the house. It drops from the corner of the garage to the house about 7 feet and 40 feet. So that's our other thing that's in our...
Constraint.
Constraint, thank you. The new garage is going to be a benefit to the Bowditch side because it's going to have a decent foundation holding up the bank there. The Bowditch is maybe 3 feet higher than their lot. So, and the existing foundation of the garage it's a little shaky. It's not terrible, but you wouldn't want to put too much money on top of it. But it would be good to have a retaining wall that holds the grade relative to Bowditch Road in place. In question about is the height of the building relative to Buzzards Bay Avenue. So way across from here all the way over to here, 130 feet. We're hoping to build up a little planting bed along this edge of the garage to keep it looking like 18 feet, under 18 feet relative to Buzzards Bay Ave, which is way over here. That's the only thing I'm not so sure about. But it's so far away, I don't think it's going to look like it's looming over Buzzards Bay Avenue. And that is one thing that I like about the new structure is the roof pitch will be a little bit steeper so that they can get, there will be just enough room underneath the ridge so that you can go up a little set of stairs, walk right down the ridge upstairs and put like lawn chairs and things underneath the sloping edges of the roof. But, so the roof pitch on the new garage will be a little bit steeper than on the existing, which I think looks better in that neighborhood of steep pitched houses, which are all about 1890. I think that's everything I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good. Let's see if anyone has any questions. Let's start with, well, on this project, let's see, on this one, who did the last, I think it was Rob.
Oh, no, it's Rob. I'm sorry, Rob.
And I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
No questions.
TJ?
Few basics just to get on the
All right.
record, I guess. So the stairs are going up to storage on the second floor. That'll be unfinished space?
Yes,
All right, so no habitable space, no bedrooms, anything like that?
correct.
Fantastic. And it's concrete slab, so no basement involved?
Correct.
Great. That does it for me.
Okay, Jerry?
No.
Okay. Is this heated?
No, it is not.
Okay. And I am a little confused about the access. So right now, the drive is shown as coming off Quistit, which is to the south.
No, it comes off of, the drive is right here.
Right.
Off of,
If I'm seeing that all on the plan, that's to the south.
Senior Moment, correct.
Okay.
It's Quistit.
The west elevation on your plan shows the front of the garage, which looks like garage doors, which I assume would be off, well, that would be the east elevation off Bowditch, so I'm just confused by that.
This faces Quistit Ave.
Okay, so why isn't that south?
You could say that it should be south.
It's southerly.
Southerly.
Okay.
Oops.
All right, I just want to make sure I understood that you weren't proposing a different driveway to enter the garage. So south, So this elevation that showed, which one of those elevations faces Bowditch?
This faces Bowditch.
Okay.
This faces Buzzards Bay Ave.
Okay. Okay, those were my questions. Can we ask people again, please, not to have separate conversations?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the height of the structure from the base, not from the mean grade, because this is an accessory structure? So the height is from the base to the ridge height?
Correct. So the proposed is going to be 17 foot 11.
Thank you. So look at that.
Okay. Oops. What's that height? All right, very good. Any more questions from the board or comments, concerns? Hearing none, let's see if the public has any comments. There's no comments from the public, then I would presume we have enough information, and someone might make a motion to close.
I'll make the motion to close.
I'll second that.
Okay, Ed and Paul to close, all in favor?
Aye.
And aye. And then a motion with respect to the status of the project.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as proposed.
Okay,
second
Paul.
Second.
Seconded by, let's see, Jerry's on this one, so he can do that, yes?
I had
No,
Rob.
actually, I'm
I spoke up.
sorry. Yeah, I think Robert's on this one.
So did we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ed. Okay. And findings that, there's one key finding here.
I'm stumped.
You are. They're making it less non-conforming with
Oh,
respect to
yeah.
the side yard setback, right? Because they're going from 1.6 to 2.6.
Yeah.
Right. The other findings, I think, with respect to, the testimony, more substantial structure will, improvements, the structure.
It's going to be 17 feet 11 inches high.
Yeah. It's not heated. I think that's important with respect to the loft.
No habitable space.
Couldn't have habitable without heat.
They don't have electricity up on it, do they?
They may have a lot, I'm sure there's lights in it.
There's lights,
Okay.
Conditions? 24216, I'll do the
Yep.
standards.
Yeah.
Conditions?
Per plan.
Do you have to put per corrected? They have to correct the labeling on the plans, right? Because where the elevations are just mislabeled?
Garage doors to face Quistit.
He's got, so
My findings and my stuff will state that the front of the garage faces Quistit, but he can
I
fix
think it
those.
would be good if.
just because 7 should be east and
I
8 should
think
be
that would
west.
be
on the
good
other.
if we could even make that a condition, that the
What's the
plans
number
be-
of that?
Plans be revised to accurately reflect
The
the
elevations
elevation.
for 7 and 8.
And revised drawing, what?
To accurately reflect which elevations face which.
That's the drawing, right?
Yeah, it's,
Say 2.
okay. So,
Elevation plan. Okay,
Unless the arrow's drawn in the wrong direction.
okay. Revised elevation plan
Okay?
prior to building permit. Okay.
Is that it? I think it's fairly straightforward. All in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Okay,
Thank you very much.
Very much. It's a nice looking garage.
It is.
You never fold those.
No, they don't.
Okay. And that brings us to our last of the evening, special permit. 052-17, Bachman, 66 Reynolds Street, T-ticket. Special permit to create habitable space within existing garage and addition to footprint.
Being all persons deemed affected by the Board of Appeals under Section 11 of Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws, you're hereby notified that Lawrence A. Bachman, trustee of T-Ticket Mass, applied to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit to Sections 240-3C of the Code of Falmouth to create habitable space within the garage and construct small additions to the footprint of the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on subject property known as 66 Reynolds Street, T-Ticket, Massachusetts. Correspondence, Conservation Commission contained stormwater on the property by installing gutters with dry wells and/or trench drain in driveway. Standard comments from engineering. Assessors includes lots 124, 125, and 126. Fire department, no comment. Planning, no comment. And we don't have any letters, but we do have plans.
All right. And for the applicant here,
Good evening. My name is Christian Valley. I'm with the Valley Group. And here with me tonight is Larry Bachman, the owner and applicant. The property is located at 66 Reynolds Street, and the house was built, according to the assessor's card, in the late 70s. It's an existing four-bedroom house. All the four bedrooms are on the second floor. One of the bedrooms is very small and is currently being used as an office. The garage is a two-car garage, and it's attached to the house with a chimney. So arguably, it's not truly attached to the house. It's actually just, looks like they built the house and the chimney and then decided to add the garage after, so they attached it to the chimney. So it's not really attached, but the house has shell driveway, concrete walkways, and a very large deck in the back. What we're proposing to do is turn the two-car garage into a master suite, and in doing that, we also are proposing to put a mudroom entry off the rear in the back, and I can show you on the drawings what we're doing. Existing, we're seeking a special permit under 240-3C. The existing home is non-conforming lot coverage, and the front setback is 20.1 feet. We're actually proposing to eliminate about 5.2% of the lot coverage. We're going to eliminate the concrete walkways. There are concrete walkways in the front and the back, and the applicant has agreed to take off about 270 square feet of the deck, remove the deck, and plant grass. So we're basically going from 31.6 structure and paved coverage to 26.4, so we're becoming less non-conforming. The property is currently served by an old septic system. It'll be tied into the new sewer system in town, and the septic system will go away. Just going to point out a couple of features on the architectural plans. So this is the existing house. It's got a large single car door,
We're also going to replace these windows, put new windows in, a new front door. And the proposed elevation shows a new mudroom suite. I'm sorry, this is the new master suite. Small bump out, which comes out about 2 feet by 10 feet. And then, I'm sorry, it's less than that, comes out a foot, actually. And then in the back, this bumps out about 15 inches and it goes across, get my notes here. So it comes out 12 inches and it goes across about 3 feet. So we're actually going to be flush with the back of the existing garage, so we're not coming out any further into the rear setback. There is an existing deck that he will keep, which is under this existing addition, which was done 7 or so years ago. But the larger deck is going to come out. That's how we're getting less non-conforming, less lot coverage, structure coverage. Second floor, like I said, has existing 4 bedrooms. One of them is a very small room, which he's using as an office. We've taken the door off of it, and it will continue to be an office. And the master suite will move down to the to the garage. And we're actually building on the existing footprint. We're not tearing the garage out. We're going to build on the existing footing. And the height of this bump out is actually lower than the existing ridge on the garage, and we're not really changing the height on the front at all. Trying to think of anything else that I can think of.
Okay. So many of those bump outs, do they change the structural footprint?
It's a facade. You can't close that door. It's just a slight change to the facade, but it doesn't impact a non-conforming setback or anything? Is that what
Okay.
you're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking because sometimes overhangs, we consider that
Yeah.
affects the...
No, that is set at least 4 or 5 feet back away from the front of the building that's non-conforming.
We did calculate it as part of the coverage, but it's 4 feet from, the non-conforming is the front stoop, which is 20.
Right, but what about the, you also are non-conforming with respect to coverage by structures. You're at 24.6, right?
No, he was at 26.8. It's being reduced to 24.6 by removing the deck.
The deck and all the walkways, so we're making it less non-conforming. Less
Okay,
non-conforming.
good. Okay, let's see if anyone has any questions. Let's start with Robert.
Is there any finished space currently in the basement?
Excuse me?
Is there any finished space currently in the basement?
There's a small area in the basement that's finished as a workshop, yeah.
And no bedrooms or anything downstairs?
No.
Couldn't.
No, it doesn't have egress.
That's all I have.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
TJ?
Just to get it on the record, you did mention that the front yard setback is non-conforming. What's the distance?
20.1 feet.
And it's going to remain the same?
Yeah, we're not touching that front step.
All right, thank you.
And anything, Jerry?
No questions. I do want to declare the departments and myself, and my wife and I, both belong to the same civic association.
Okay.
But it's, we don't...
Probably want to do that at the start of the hearing.
I know, but you didn't ask me.
Well...
It's up to you to bring it up.
You have to mention that. So the current bedroom count, just to, so I
The
understand.
current bedroom count is 4. They're all on the second floor. The new bedroom count will be,
5?
well, it'll be 4
4.
plus an office.
I see.
Because one of the existing bedrooms is already converted to an office with no door. We can't make it any larger than the opening any larger because there's a closet from the other side, but it's so small you can't even really put a bed. When they designed it back in the 70s, so.
But it's a cased opening, correct?
It's a cased opening, will not have a door on it.
Okay. I'm happy.
Good. Did you want to ask the public if they want to speak?
Yes. Anyone want to say anything? Now that we're down to just 2 people. Okay, if there's no public comment, then I would entertain a motion to close.
Make a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Okay, so that's Ed and Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Okay. And then, anyone want to make a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as proposed.
okay, so we have a motion to approve by Paul, seconded by Ed, and some findings. So
They'd be
are
tying
they,
into the sewer system.
are they making anything more or less non-conforming?
No change.
The lot coverage
There we go.
by structures is going to be less non-conforming,
And by structures, parking and paving.
and by structures, parking and paving.
Okay. And the bedroom count is going to remain the same because they're going to convert one of those upstairs bedrooms into an office.
With a casement opening, while it's pertinent.
Front back setbacks going to remain the same.
Front yard setback remains the same.
You're tying into the municipal system.
Good finding.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much does it. Condition?
24216,
Yeah.
town sewage.
Yeah, they're,
Setback's going to remain the same, Dread.
that was 21.11,
Right.
or 20.11.
Conditions?
Conditions,
Per plan.
No more than 4 bedrooms,
yeah.
Yes.
no bedrooms in basement.
Well, if we say no more than 4, I think that covers
Not
it, doesn't it?
necessarily. Okay,
You'd like to have it saying no more than, no bedrooms in basement? That's fine.
Board of Health usually wants that,
Okay.
maybe.
All right. You ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Christian.
Thank you.
Well, they'll come back.
Yeah, I just thought,
Oh, that's Kelly's, okay.
Yeah, that's... Okay, that brings us to...
Minutes.
The open meeting portion. Minutes of June 27th.
You have to do them one at a time.
I understand, I'm just going to
because
say
two
what they are,
members-
July 6th and July 10th. So, have people had a chance to look at minutes of June 27th?
Yes, I did.
Good. Any corrections, changes?
No?
All right. Would you like to make a motion we approve them?
Move to approve the minutes as drafted.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's for June
27th.
27th.
Rob, there's one abstention, Rob.
Yeah, who wasn't here?
He didn't, he was
The bottom.
refused.
Okay. So then we have July 6th. Let's see, 1, 2. Everyone was here for that one, right?
I was not.
Paul was absent.
Oh, Paul was absent, okay. Well, there you are.
I was
It says
in
that.
favor of showing up.
I was at a
That's
party.
right. You don't have to tell us what you were doing.
it's a given.
So, have those who were here had a chance to look at these minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and would someone like to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
By Ed,
Seconded.
seconded by Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
One abstention, Paul.
One abstention, which is Paul. Okay, and then the next one,
July 10th, Jerry and
That's June 27th.
Doug, or Bob, or
Doug.
Doug.
Oh, that was, that's the Monday night one.
Maybe that was the first one that I was looking at. There we go. Jerry was absent on that one, okay.
And Rob recused.
Abstain.
Okay, but those of you who were here, any corrections, additions?
No.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Ed and Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. One abstention, that's Jerry.
Me.
And Robert. Oh, right, because you had to recuse on that one. Okay. That's it for the minutes. Then, according to the agenda here, we have an administrative approval, 116 Bernard East St. Jean.
This is Phil Wesley's project that the board approved in 2008, and it's warehouses over in the industrial park area. And a condition,
Or any of us want.
it's light industrial, a condition that was made by the board for some reason. The applicant may apply for administrative approval to allow uses under section 24063CE and I on subject property. 63G2 may also be administratively approved with a caveat that the windmill hub shall not exceed 160 feet in height. This is not a windmill. What they would like to do is rent one of the units to Cape Cod Associates of Cape Cod, excuse me. Associates of Cape Cod, and under that 240-63 section that I told you about, scientific and research uses are allowed by special permit, which is why you put in that caveat condition. So I'm asking the board to administratively approve the Associates of Cape Cod based on that section of the bylaw.
Okay, so say the section again, I'm sorry, 240.
240-63CE and I.
63.
Research.
Blacksmith, builder, tinsmith, lumber.
C, E, and I.
Oh, there we go. DNA technology. Automobile shops.
So of course, as you all know, Associates of Cape Cod is research.
Yeah.
The push ups.
The crab lab.
It's a crab lab. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that's all they're doing, they just want to rent it to the, okay. Does the board have any questions, other questions, comments, concerns for Serene? Okay, then I would again accept a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the administrative request.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rhonda, did you get that? That was Paul and
TJ. Thank you. Now, one more issue for future agenda.
Okay,
As you all know, I messed up and did not put Clipper Ship on the agenda for tonight. You had requested that I draft a positive decision at the last hearing for them on July 6th. I did that. I have sent it to all the members. I've gotten all the comments back. I've sent the draft to Mr. Galasso. So now what we need to do is schedule another open meeting for this. If the board so desires, that would be wonderful.
all right, so the next, so the,
What's the earliest?
I cannot do it next week. But the next hearing, you said the next...
Is August 3rd, and, I mean, you have the time frame, of course, because we only closed the hearing, but Mr.
August
Glasso was
3rd.
not
So we have 1, 2, 3,
He would like to
4.
get it as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
I mean, there's 5 things on here. Look. Like they're huge. Right?
So you don't want to do anything sooner than August 3rd?
I think I'm away Thursday and Friday next week. I probably wouldn't do it then anyway.
Yeah, I can't do next week.
I mean, I'm wide open except for, as I said, the 27th and the 28th.
And he's not going to be here then either, Mr. Foreman, so that wouldn't be good anyway.
Right, so is the 3rd the next time?
Is it a big problem for him?
Well, he just didn't want to wait the 2 weeks. I mean, it is what it is, I messed up.
We have time anyway, so.
I think I got a problem on the 3rd. I think I got to be...
Well, who has to be here?
The voting members that were sat on it,
But I think I missed the meeting. I'm not-
Kimberly, Ken Foreman, TJ, Ed Van Kuren, and Rob Dugan.
So Paul doesn't matter.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so the third.
You're off the hook.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay?
August 3rd.
So I think the 3rd.
Okay,
And, things happen.
not to me, they don't.
Oh,
That's true.
get off the cross, we need the vote.
It's the
My
first,
mistake.
first time for everything.
Yeah. Wow. Who's the clerk?
Me, it's horrible, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're still in session.
Is there any other business? Hearing no other business, I'll declare the meeting adjourned.
I will
5 after 9.
find it.
So guys, just one, I'm just going to ask everyone.